It's 8:48. Let's see how long it takes for us to find some rice. Hey kid, it's Dad. Today's question is, what's with the rice? What is up with all the rice everywhere all the time? Today we're going to talk about the massive role that rice plays in Thai history, language, and culture. There's really nothing like it in English. The closest thing, I guess, would be bread. Well, there's a handful of phrases that talk about bread. Bread can mean money. It's in a few phrases like, what side is your bread buttered on? When you're talking about your livelihood or not biting the hand that feeds you. Thai language looks at this usage of bread and how it appears here and there and says, you ain't seen nothing yet. The role of rice in Thailand really cannot be overstated. It is so ubiquitous in the culture, in the history, and the language itself. It might be rice back there, but I'm not going to say for sure. There, yep, there's rice. Okay, that is 8:55. You can see the time. So what did that take us? 7 minutes? 7 minutes to find rice because it's everywhere. So one of the things about Thai language that makes it fun and infuriating at the same time is how many homonyms you can get, or at least you'd say it's a homonym if it wasn't for the tone, because there's 5 different tones, right? And not only are there 5 different tones, but there are different vowel lengths as well. So you can have a short vowel or you can have a long vowel, and it can have one of the 5 tones. And I know that might send your brain going ah! right off the bat, but it's actually helpful in learning words in tone groups. So rice in Thai is khao, falling tone, khao, falling tone, long vowel. Now, on top of having the 5 different tones and the short vowel, long vowel, Thai also has straight up homonyms where the word is spelled the same, sounds the same, but has several meanings. Khao is rice, but khao is also grain, just in general. Rye, the rye grain is khao rai. Wheat is khao sali. So khao just kind of stands in as just grain by itself. Khao is also food. And when I say food, I mean food in regular usage, not in like poetic speech or anything. This is just regular everyday speech. Those are 3 meanings for khao that are straight homonyms. And then you get into the tones and the vowel lengths. Khao with the long vowel is rice. Khao with the short vowel is to enter, to come in somewhere. If you give it a low tone, khao with a low tone means knee. Then the next one I think is really interesting. Khao with the long vowel is news. Like you watch the news on TV, news. So I think that one's really cool. The same word for rice is the same word for news. The same word for food is the same word for news. Now, I know there's some people that let's just go with scholar above pedant. We'll say language scholars that'll say, you know, they're really not the same word. Yeah, well, you know, technically that's true because they do have different tone markers and ways to tell on the printed page that they are not the same word, that they're pronounced differently, and to a native Thai speaker that makes it obvious that they're very different. Yeah, I get that. So that is high tone, low tone, rising tone. Khao is the color white. Now that's with a long vowel. With the short vowel, khao is a pronoun for him or her. That is just the word now. We're not even talking about its actual usage yet. Now first, you might be asking, why am I going into all this? Because for you, kid, this might be really obvious stuff. You know, I was talking to your mom about this and said, you know, rice is so important to Thailand and Thai culture. Do you like learn about it in school? And she says, you know, not really. It's just kind of stuff you pick up because it's around you all the time. Well, for us foreigners, it is very, very novel, because in the West, rice just does not play this role in society. So when she said that, no, it's not something that we really learn about much, that didn't seem strange to me, because I looked back and I said, you know, did my classes in school ever talk about bread? Oh, no, not really. So for you, kid, maybe this is stuff that you just picked up, or maybe you're in the process of picking it up. And maybe I'll tell you some things that you didn't know, or just some interesting insight from dear old dad. For us expats, though, I'm hoping that this is going to be fun stuff to learn about. Rice just pops up. It pops up in the most interesting places. It's just an artery that is running through the heart of this country. And it's not like I'm in I'm out in the boonies, you know. I'm in a suburb of Bangkok. I'm really not that far away from the big city. Okay, so I said, yeah, there are words for every single stage of rice development as the plant grows. I can't remember all of them. I'm going to start with the grown rice. So khao at the top. After that, you can split rice into two different kinds: regular fluffy rice and sticky rice. Khao jiao is just regular basic rice. Sticky rice is khao neow. Neow is the word for sticky. Once the rice is cultivated and the rice is raw, it gets polished to turn it into white rice. White rice is khao. So polished rice. It's rice, it's not cooked yet. It's now has a white color. It's been cleaned. It's ready for sale. The word for this is saan. Now you might be thinking, hey, I know that. I've heard that word before. Yeah. Khao San Road in Bangkok, the famous backpacker road, is polished rice road. If you have fragrant rice, fragrant is hawm. Fragrant rice is khao hawm. Add one more word and now you are talking about the king of rice, jasmine rice. That is the kind of rice that you want to buy, and that is called khao hawm malit. Malit is the Thai word for jasmine. You also hear khao in people's names. I've met people named khao. I've met people named khao hawm. I've met people named khao jiao. I've met people named khao nam. It really is everywhere. In addition to khao hawm malit, there are dozens, huge amounts of rice varieties. Now, if you're anything like me, you have been to the market and you've seen a place like this, where there's all these different barrels of rice. It's a mystifying quantity and variety. Well, what they're showing on all these signs here, they're showing all of the different strains, all the different species of rice. And I was lucky enough to meet this really kind vendor at our local market who was willing to take some time to talk to me about all of the different kinds of rice that she had at her shop and why there are so many. So let's listen to what she had to say.
วันนี้จะออกเป็นกล่องใหม่นิดนึงประมาณ7 เดือนไม่ใหม่มากค่ะกำลังหอมรุ่มพอดีเลยเอาสักเท่าไหร่ดีจ๊ะ5 โลนะคะ
อยากรู้ทำไมสีไม่มันยัน
อ๋อตัวนี้มันจะเป็นเราเรียกว่า parboiled rice นะคะมันจะเป็นข้าวนึ่ง
อ๋อเหรอก
รรมวิธีของมันเนี่ยมันจะเป็นแบบข้าวที่มันเป็นแช่เอาไปแช่น้ำแล้วก็เอาไปนึ่งอบแล้วก็อบให้แห้ง
ทุกเวลาเห็นทางเยอะๆข้าวที่นี่ที่ไม่รู้จักไม่มันยันยังไง
อ๋อไม่เหมือนกันยังไงก็คือมันก็แบ่งได้ค่ะมีเราก็แคตตากรีเราก็แบ่งตามแบบนิวก่อนข้าวใหม่มีกลางปีเป็นมิดเดิลนะคะเป็นแบบมียังใช่ไหมมิดเดิลแล้วก็เป็นข้าวเก่าเป็นโอ
ผมอยากรู้ทั้งหมดพยายามใช่พยายามเรียน
เก่งนะเนี่ยพยายามเรียนไม่จริงๆแล้วอะค่ะเรามันก็เหมือนเขาเรียกอะไรเหมือนไวน์อ่ะมันก็แล้วแต่แตกต่างการปลูกในแต่ละพื้นที่เหมือนเราปลูกองุ่นอย่างเงี้ยค่ะในแต่ละพื้นที่ที่ดินไม่เหมือนกันน้ำไม่เหมือนกันอากาศไม่เหมือนกันมันก็จะได้ใช่ค่ะมันก็จะได้อย่างข้าวเหนียวที่มาจากทางเหนือกับข้าวเหนียวที่มาจากทางอีสานก็ไม่เหมือนกัน
อ๋อโอเคเข้าใจครับ
ก็เหมือนการปลูกองุ่นที่เอามาทำไวน์ก็จะได้รสที่ไม่เหมือนกัน
บางเวลาคุณแม่คุณพ่อแฟนมีข้าวที่ซิสเกตอร่อย
อันนี้อยู่ที่
ไม่เหมือนกันใช่ครับใช่ เป็นไม่เหมือนกันจริงๆใช่อร่อยกว่าจริง
แล้วเหมือนลูกค้าบางคนเขาก็จะมาถามหาข้าวสุรินทร์หอมมะลิสุรินทร์
อือฮึ
อย่างเงี้ยค่ะ หรือบางคนก็จะมาหาข้าวทางโคราชอย่าง
อือฮึ
ส้มโอฝากน้ำเต้าก็จะเป็นข้าวทางโคราชทางอีสาน
ทำไมนี่แพงที่สุดทำไมพิเศษ
จะบอกว่ามันเป็นเหมือน marketing position ของเขาที่เขาวางมาแบบนี้ แล้วข้าวของเขาเนี่ยกินอร่อยจริงๆนะ
ค่อยเห็นข้าวด
ข้าวด
อือ
ำ
ฮึ
rice berry แล้วเปล่าคะ
ำอ๋อใช่แบบนี้
ก็บอกว่าเนี่ยเวลาไปที่บ้านหัวชื่อแป้งเนี่ยนะคะชื่อจอยค่ะก็เลยเปรียบเทียบว่า
ทุกอย่างสวยๆไม่วนวายสะอาดชอบมากเลยใช่
หาจะได้หาง่าย
ขอบคุณคุย
ค่ะ
ขอบคุณมากๆคุยเกี่ยวกับข้าวครับ
ไม่เป็นไรค่ะแวะมานะ
I almost forgot the most common usage of cow. That's the one that you hear every day. Gin cow, to eat. Just the word for eat, to eat food. Same thing for are you hungry? Hiu kao mai. Hiu is hungry. Hiu, the rising tone. And cow with the falling tone. Tone-wise, this one's interesting. In English, we use tone for emphasis, right? We use tone for like emotion. Thai uses tone for meaning. But to my Western brain, I thought when someone in Thai said, Hiu cow, they were saying, I'm hungry. No, they're just saying the word regularly. But it sounds like I'm hungry. So imagine yourself being really hungry when you say it, and you would actually wind up saying it completely normally. So I hear your mom say, Hiu cow. I think, all right, geez, calm down. We'll get you some food. Now, when it comes to cooking rice, hung cow, hung is how you cook rice. Cooked rice. That's khao suai. Suai is the Thai word for beautiful, pretty. Okay, so it's pretty rice. I think that's pretty cool. Where do you cook rice? Well, you have a rice pot. That's ma, cow. And then, of course, the word shows up in all kinds of different foods. Khao pat is fried rice. Khao griap is those little rice chips that you see sometimes at restaurants. I'll put them out on the table for you. Khao griap. Bags of puffed rice that kind of looks like popcorn. That's khao tok. I'm doing my best on my vowel lengths and tones. So that's food, but I think even cooler than that is how it shows up in expressions. There are so many expressions that are about rice or have rice in them. If someone is really poor and destitute, you say, "My ni khao san grok ma." They have no rice to put in their bowl. That's how you say someone is down and out. If like the country is on hard times, there's famine, there's lack, you say "Khao yak mak pang." Rice is difficult, very expensive. Contrast that with the bread basket. There's another bread word, the bread basket of a nation, that is u khao unam. One of my favorites is there's a phrase that means to throw your career away. I don't think there's anything comparable in English here. If you're going to screw things up and screw yourself, you would say "tu ma khao." Tu is to break, and we've already learned that ma khao is your rice pot. So to break your rice pot is to throw away your career, your livelihood. When two people are blissfully happy together, or they're like happy as newlyweds, that's khao mai blat wan, and that means new rice. That's like fresh rice. Khao mai is the first harvest of rice. It is new rice, fatty fish, oily fish, nutritious fish. Oh, another one of my favorites is when you're talking about somebody who is, the phrase in English is the salt of the earth. They are someone who is really a down-to-earth, regular Joe type of person. You say "kon den din gin cow gang," and that means this person walks on the earth and eats rice. One that I might have said to you if you're getting out of line, kid. This is something that adults don't say to each other, but you would say to a person that's younger. Get back. Why gin cow? That means shut up and eat your food. That's kind of what it directly means. Figuratively, it means if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. So that's just a handful of phrases, and there are so many. Those are just some fun ones that I can remember. So now, the next question you might be asking yourself is, how did we get here? How did we get to the place where rice is absolutely everywhere? In our language, in our culture, in our traditions, in our idioms. That has to do with the history of rice and rice cultivation in Thailand. Now, I'm not going to get into a boring history here. I'll just touch on a couple of things. So rice has been cultivated anywhere from 10 to 12,000 years in this part of the world. Started in southern China, made its way south, just like people and language. There is archaeological evidence of rice being cultivated in Thailand going back about 4,000 years or so, give or take. Now, rice cultivation in Thailand used to be in central Thailand. I think the oldest fossilized rice we found is around Lopburi, places around the Chao Phraya River. So for the longest time, Thailand was the leading exporter of rice in the world. That has changed somewhat recently, but it was the case for a very long time. And when I say large exporter, I mean large. We're talking anywhere, fluctuates between 7 and 11 metric tons of rice come out of Thailand every year. Rice itself, its importance to the world can't be overstated either. About half of the caloric intake of the world is from rice. So rice production in Thailand really took off in the 50s and 60s. In the 50s and 60s, a lot of initiatives brought forth by the Thai government at the time, with the enthusiastic support of King Bhumibol, really expanded access, expanded infrastructure between central Thailand and northeastern Thailand. So a lot of roads were constructed around this time. There started to be a shift between manual labor, especially animal labor with water buffaloes, was switching to small tractors. So this new infrastructure with the roads and the irrigation and the mechanized farming, a lot of this in the heart of Thai people, this is related to King Rama IX and Bhumibol. And one of the reasons that he is so beloved by the country, because during this time, rice production increased almost 60%. So it more than doubled the yield of rice as it opened up the northeast of the country. And that continued well into the 80s and made Thailand the dominant rice producer in the world. There is a three-way race between Thailand, India, and Vietnam, and they switch places between numbers 1, 2, and 3 all the time. Considering how important rice is in Thailand, it should come as no surprise that governments have risen and toppled almost completely on the basis of things that have gone wrong with rice. That is how important rice is. Messing with the rice can lead to a revolution. One of the reasons that happens is because so many people are involved in rice production. Between 16 and 17 million people. Of a population that's only 68 million people, 16 to 17 million of them are involved in rice production. People eat a vast amount of rice here too. People eat on average about 112 kilograms of rice every year. So it is a very significant part of the Thai economy and the livelihood of the people. With this history, it's easy to see how rice is so dominant in the history and the traditions. The role of rice in Thai culture, I think, is just a fascinating topic, and I wanted to spend a little time to talk about it today. It has to do with language, it has to do with culture, and all things Thai, and talk about that just makes me so happy, kid. Alright, kid, that's going to be it for this video. Until the next one, I'll see you later.